Good morning, everybody. Jason Sarney here. So sorry for the delay. Stephen D, I am sure will get to us. So, yeah, I am here to talk to you all about the Dolphins fan cruise. I know there's a lot of things that Stephen does prior to kicking off the content, but we all appreciate you waiting. So, fire some questions away. I do hope everyone had a happy and healthy Easter. And similarly to what the Dolphins players did on the cruise, we're going to do a little audible here. We're going to go a little bit on the fly. So we appreciate everything. And I want to hear your stories about your week and weekend and holiday. But in the meantime, I'll give you guys a little bit of an introduction of really what was the best week of my life. It truly was. So to kick that off, I know things looked like it started off a little weird, a little rocky. And what I want to give full clarity and make sure everyone is aware, there were three separate parties that you could talk about ratings or who did great, who did not, what was this problem, what was that success. You had a ship, of course, that was the MSC Cruise Line, the MSC Seascape. Beautiful ship, good and bad, like any other, but we'll talk about the specifics, and really that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here. Yes, I did, Cap. I was on the cruise with all of them. And Joe, I got some stories about, but they're all great. And look, the players were amazing. I'm here to talk about the Dolphins. I'm not here to talk about the third-party travel agency. That's something for another day. If there are any specific questions for that, I'll answer in my honest, objective way. But again, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk up how well the Dolphins pivoted. The Dolphins went off script. Very metaphorical to football. Things like in any situations aren't perfect, except like I say, 1972 Dolphins and God. But that was really proven this week that the 72 team, they love each other. Oh, man, do they love hanging out. I didn't see an actual celebration like clinking the champagne. Don't know if they did that, or maybe they probably did that very, very, very privately, because there were private moments for the team. But I did see a couple of them on the upper deck enjoying a cigar with Larry Zonko right in the middle, kind of holding court, asking questions, telling stories, significant others, in some cases grandchildren. It was really moving. And I was with my wife and kids up on top. It was like probably the second night when things really started to just go smooth. First two nights, we'll talk about it, but my wife said, why don't you go? And I said, I don't know. This is a moment, and I can't interrupt that. I wasn't fishing for a moment. This was like 9:30. Kids wanted some cookies or ice cream up in the buffet, which was okay. Give it a B. But very doable. And just didn't think it was the right moment for me. And we'll come back to that. But to watch Larry was just incredible. Then we got our cookies and ice cream, and then we went back to the room. And I went back out to see some nightlife, and we will talk about that in specifics as well. I will say that some of the best moments that I witnessed were moments watching the players hang out amongst themselves. The camaraderie, the playing cards, the moment with their families. And, obviously when you have 7, 8, 9 years worth of traveling and families playing this game together, because it's so about family, everyone. Very, very, very evident with this group, especially the 80s into 90s families. A lot of wide receivers in that mix, but got a real good opportunity, which means a whole lot to me, to hang out with Mark Clayton. And Mark Clayton is what a man, just an unbelievable human. And pleasure to talk football, pleasure to hear him let a lot of people know why he belongs in the Hall of Fame. in a very, very humble way while talking with a wide receiver from the 90s, a running back from the 2000s, and a defensive back and a running back as well from the 90s. I'm not here to hugely name drop. I don't want to do that. I'm going to give you guys the path to understand who these gentlemen are. Very easy. Bring on up the website of the roster of the 35 players. I'm giving you guys layups here. But anyway, was just unbelievable moments to hear why this man belongs. And the thing to me was great when, and I'll talk, when OJ McDuffie is jumping in here, of course, I'll tell a tale about OJ because, with what he does on the fish tank, it's amazing. And we're going to have a whole segment on how amazing 81 was on that cruise. So talking about Clayton and hearing OJ say this, tell him about targets, Clay, meaning he wasn't getting 115, 120, 140 targets in a season. He had Duper on the other end. Sure, you can counter with Marino with slinging to them. Absolutely. But this was before targets was a statistic, everybody. Targets became a statistic tracked in 1992, which means it was the last year that Clayton was playing in the NFL. So it really is unfair to look at, and look, what I'm about to say is no knock on any Hall of Famer, any current, more modern, or anyone who belongs or will earn their spot there. But I'll throw out Super Bowl winning wide receivers, sure, from maybe the late 1990s, the early 2000s, who were on some of the greatest offenses in the world with other Hall of Fame quarterbacks throwing to them with another wide receiver to the left. Again, I'm giving you all layups here if you want to guess what I'm talking about. But, when you're peppered with targets, you're going to do great. But I don't think we're talking 120 targets for Clayton. I really don't. I would have to, and this is something that I really want to do. The only way to track this right now is to go back and to watch every single game and to find out who threw when Marino or whomever the quarterback was at the moment. If that happened, there were people who might have thrown to him once or twice, but I don't think he was getting hundreds and hundreds of targets year to year to year. What have you? Clayton led the league in touchdowns in 1984 and 1988. 18 touchdowns in 1984, which was basically the equivalent of scoring 38 as a wide receiver today. It was unfathomable to do what he did. And his yards per catch average for his career, 15.4. I've done research on about 15 Hall of Fame wide receivers. The only person I found with a higher average yards per catch is Randy Moss. We'll get off that because that's a conversation for a whole other year. Because Mark Clayton needs to get into the Hall of Fame this year. It does not take away from Richmond Webb. Richmond Webb needs to be in the Hall of Fame this year. Now, remember, there's a senior section and there's a modern section. Richmond Webb. This is the Richmond Webb section, everybody. We're going to dedicate this to the big man, to number 78, who, oh my God, is he a good man. What a heart. What an individual. Happy to talk. Happy to sign, happy to just do anything talking football or Dolphins. And some of the most enjoyable moments that I had, again, I'm going to reference this, watching players hang out with the family, talking with their friends, family, or just another player talking up their teammate. OJ, saying how good Richmond was, obviously, when protecting Danny. It's always great hearing players call Marino Danny. It's so cool. And then, you have fans from all over the place just essentially telling these players their favorite stories. And when I say all over the place, and I saw so many people go up to Richmond, so happy to take a picture. And this man belongs in the Hall. Everybody was talking about how he could dominate Bruce Smith. And Bruce Smith, greatest pass rusher of all time. I mean, you could argue that maybe one or two others could sniff that. But Richmond Webb dominated Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith to the tune of, I believe it's like under a sack a game against the Dolphins. Bruce Smith averaged in the span of his career, whereas against any other team in the NFL, I think the number was like 1.2 a game. Like he would go into a game knowing he'd get a sack and would probably shoot for multiple sacks. Like that was just status quo for Bruce Smith. Going against the Dolphins, he was lucky to sniff a sack. So when you're a 7-time Pro Bowler like Richmond Webb, when you're a all pro like Richmond Webb, when you went through a season without giving up a sack to Dan Marino, protecting the greatest thrower of all time, not giving up a sack in the era of Bruce Smith, with all due respect to Canton and Pro Football Hall of Fame, I say this respectfully. Wake up. You did this year, and I appreciate that. We all appreciate it. You put Zach in. I'm a better late than never guy, so we're good. I'm going to say something that Mark Clayton said. And this was really, really moving to me. This was extremely moving to me. So I'm not going to quote it. I'm going to kind of paraphrase it. I'll kind of, it's really hard to hear people campaign for someone like a Bob Kuechenberg, who you can't hear him talk about how he himself belongs in the Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame, and it will be, I don't know, posthumously, I cannot pronounce that word. It will be when his family will be representing him. And so as Mark Clayton, as I paraphrase, say, give the man his flowers when he could see him. And he said he knew Charlie Branch, a Hall of Fame wide receiver who, not able to see himself make it in the Hall. And it was better late than never for him. So, these are things that you really want to see for a player, So it's Cliff Branch. I'm sorry, Cliff Branch. I'm thumpering here, but my history is a little mistaken. But it was really a moving thing. And I'm a little unprepared here. Sorry, guys. But it was a really great time. So if anyone has any questions, please just fire them away. And I'm happy to talk about it. So I'll tell you all a funny story while we're waiting to field them. I was hanging out in the buffet in the early morning, which means I'm looking for my coffee, looking for some breakfast. And that was a fun time to see a couple of Dolphins roaming around because it was, everyone's got to eat, right? And I see a fun Dolphin. I mean, here's another layup I'm giving you guys. I think someone should understand who I'm talking about. Tall guy. 80s. Popular. By the coffee machine. Was at the orange nozzle. And anyone who drinks a lot of coffee knows what is the orange nozzle? Decaf. So I hang over. I'm like, sir, that's decaf. Oh, thank you, man. I'm at the wrong nozzle. I haven't been this hungover since then. And yeah, that's all I'll tell you. But we had a fun talk. And then got his coffee. I got my coffee. Went on for breakfast. And that's what you do. And tip dollars worth of free advice for anyone that sees any player, any celebrity. And look, they're all different. And I learned that this trip. But not while they're eating. Just let them have a meal. And if it happens, it happens. Go up with a good reason, with a good story, a good compliment, but not while they're eating and not while they're trying to have some time with the family. I gave you more. I referenced the name earlier. He's a popular dude. You could hear him really any day of the week. I'm giving you gold here, Dave. Caught one of the most famous touchdowns of all time, if you really want to think about it. Fun guy, fun dude, awesome guy. Knows how to work a microphone and has the gift of gab. That is what Nat Moore said that this gentleman had. And Nat Moore is the VP of Alumni Relations. He was the boss of the show. Nat is incredible. Nat probably worked 26 hours a day for this cruise. And I know that doesn't work out, but you understand what I'm trying to say. And he knocked it out of the park with this. Because as I said, you have the agency, you have the team, you have the ship. I'm here to talk about the team. So Nat coordinated everything with his staff. That's the Dolphins staff with the other entities. And it was great. Now, remember, Nat's a player too. Nat's the second leading scorer in Dolphins history from the receiver position. One of the toughest, grittiest players of all time. Miami history, football history, Florida history. I mean, this man's a Florida legend. Everybody knows that. And it was a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And he really, really knocked it out. Another person who knocked it out was Kim Bocamper. Now, Kim was fantastic. Kim did really everything he could at probably, Kim did the equivalent of intercepting a pass and nearly taking it the distance, but it led to a win. It led to a win. Now, what I mean by that is the first couple of nights, yes, Marino had a prior engagement. Now, to preface everything and to get back to Kim, because he deserves a lot of praise for what happened on this cruise and the good. When I initially thought this cruise was going to happen, I couldn't go because it was the last week of March. Did not coincide in any good way, shape, or form with children's days off from school, what have you, whatever. So that is also the week before the golfing event in Augusta and Georgia, the Masters. Now, for whatever reason, things had to change, and the scheduled cruise on another cruise line had to move from the last week of March to the first week of August, where there was already a previous engagement. Now, of course, when there has already been this advertisement of Dan Marino on the cruise, everyone expects that. Now, he was there. But when he was there, there were events, there were pictures. I had the honor of seeing him take a team photo, and just by happenstance of my kid just being in the vicinity, OJ pulled him in front and put him right in front of Marino. Now, if a couple other kids were right in the vicinity, OJ probably would have done the same for those kids too. But there weren't a ton of Dolphins kids on the cruise. There were a good amount, but it was right place, right time, and OJ saw an opportunity to really give two kids and their dad a moment. So Marino was there. That was it for me. I won. I was good. I did not get an opportunity to meet him. It's okay. People did. There was an awesome, wine event, tasting, what have you. But, unfortunately, things happen. But I guess you could say that in that specific situation, there was a little bit of turning lemons into lemonade. So what have you. But after that, and then after just a couple of and I used to be in travel. I used to be in customer service for like a spring break company in between jobs, what have you. When is there a perfect scenario in hospitality? When is there a perfect record of restaurants hitting home runs on meals? Go to a restaurant at dinner, someone's returning a meal. Go on a trip, someone's having a bad hotel room. It happens. We get it. In this case, I know there were worse. But again, I'm going to do my best to kind of pivot back to what the team did, because there were issues. But then you have an event on Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon, I believe. It was an X's and O's session. So you had Duper, McDuffie, and Bocamper just fielding questions, probably about 300-400 Dolphin fans in attendance. There were about 700 or so Dolphin fans on the cruise. Let's call it 5,000 passengers. Do the math. Awesome event. Awesome event. I mean, fans were asking questions from all over the place. Connecticut, Montreal, Missouri, Gainesville. I mean, I met folks from all over the place. Germany, Mexico. Fantastic. But every AFC East rival city, including Indiana and Indianapolis because, obviously they were Colts fans back when the AFC East had the Colts in them. So it was really great to just not see the tons of South Floridians or Florida or folks that had season tickets for the Orange Bowl, people from all over the place. And that's what this Dolphin fan base, really, really, truly is. So, sorry if I'm just going on all over the place, but back to the X's and O's session. I actually got there just a little late because I did my best to thank you, JR Black. I definitely want to put that up there. And sorry, guys, I know Steven's really the better MC and handles this, but I'm doing my thing here. Webb was also named to the All-90s Decade team. I mean, you have a 7-time Pro Bowler in one decade who dominated the decade's dominant pass rusher. I don't get it. Thank you. Thank you for that, JR Black. Good stuff. But that layup was thrown high. Come on. All right. Cool. Number 8. But anyway, back to that trio of the X's and O's. So I got there a little late. I was doing my best to do the dad thing and help out with, my kids having the best time that they can on the cruise. So I was a little late, but went on up to ask a question. And it was a Zach Thomas question. And I wanted to know, I asked anybody that I can who played with Zach, what was the moment that they knew that they were witnessing a Hall of Famer? Because it's not a soon-to-be Hall of Famer, it's a Hall of Famer. When I asked now, it was the first time I asked this as such, he was a Hall of Famer to a Dolphin. When did you know that Zach Thomas was a Hall of Famer? And I think I'm up to 5 people that I've asked. 5th time, it's been the same answer. When he knocked the shit out of Sean Jefferson. It was all phrased differently. I mean, the way Kim said it was great because it left a little, it was almost like he told the story and then, a couple of people in unison said, Sean Jefferson. It was great. But OJ said the same thing. JT said the same thing. I mean, it's the same thing. It's that first, they sniffed greatness when they knew that he took, Jack Del Rio's role. When he sent Jack Del Rio to coaching, that's when people probably and players said, yeah, we got something. But that first when he knocked that hit on Sean Jefferson, I think that's when everyone started saying, okay, jackpot. And we're going to see a lot of people from this cruise in Canton in August. And we're going to see Maria. And pardon, I don't have her last name down, but Maria, who does so much work with the fan base, got a lot of people on this cruise. And she did phenomenal. She puts in 365 days worth of work to raise money for the DCC. Anybody that could do that for the Dolphins Challenge Cancer is something that, means the world to me. So there's a lot of things that need to be said here. I want to really stay on for hours and hours and talk about this. I also want to make sure that Stephen D is all good. I want to check in on him. Obviously, like I said, things pivot in life. Things are very good. I also got to do the dad thing today, people. So bear with us, hang back, chat amongst yourselves. I'm not ending the broadcast, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop out, check on some things around the home front, hang back. I'm going to put the Clock Blockers logo up or do something or figure out a way, and I'll hop on intermittently. But give us all about 15 more minutes, 20 more minutes, and hopefully at 11, we'll be able to go regularly scheduled. So we appreciate everything, and I'll be back. I got a couple of fun things that I want to do for y'all too. So keep us around. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back. Hey, everybody, we're back. Yeah, sometimes I guess communication, technical difficulties, what have you. So, hopefully Stephen will be back with us in a couple of minutes, but I'll open up the panel. So, what will we do here? I got to figure out how to open up the panel here, but I will do my best. That's what I've been trying to figure out the last couple of minutes. So, any questions, fire them away. We'll continue talking Cruz. If you have anything, throw. Yeah, as far as I know, Canes, I just haven't heard from him. But I want to do the show. I want you guys to, stick with us. Yeah, fire away with what you got. And let me try to open up this panel. But to me, as I've just told people, this really was truly an unbelievable week. I really don't know what else to talk about right now, guys. I do have some concern. I do want to hear from Steven. But let's maybe give him some calls. But I'm trying to figure out what's what here. So let's talk Phins. Give me some content, guys, because I'm running out of some things here. Because now I am starting to get a little concerned thinking about it. But anywho, yeah, guys, I don't know if this is the right time. I think we should really figure what's going on with Steven. So I'm gonna end the show. Let's just try to get a contact with him.